Am I the asshole for not changing my routine for a house guest? I, 45 female, have a good friend, 41 female, coming to visit for a week. I stay up much later than her and I work from home. My office is next to the guest room. She told me that she wanted to talk before she visits, so we called and she said that I'm way too loud at night and asked if I could work in another room. Now look, I'm not blasting music or playing loud video games. I type on my laptop, occasionally print something, and occasionally make a work call. She is literally complaining about the sound of a keyboard, printer, and a phone. Keep in mind, I have my phone on the lowest volume so when it rings you can barely hear it, and when anyone is visiting I always try to talk quieter on the phone. I don't think it's right of her to ask me to change my entire routine. I told her I would do my best to keep the noise down, but apparently that's not good enough for her. I just feel as if her demanding attitude is really rude and that I shouldn't have to change my personal routine for her. Again, it's not as if I'm going around blasting music or banging pots and pans. I'm literally typing, occasionally printing a document, and taking brief, quiet calls, all from a room over. It's not like I'm in the same room as her. Am I the asshole for telling her I will try but make no promises, which in turn she's saying isn't good enough? Not the asshole I would tell her maybe it's better if she stayed in a hotel as you won't be able to be as quiet as she would like you to be because of your work schedule. Who are these people that stay in people's homes and have all these demands? Info. What hours are we talking about here? In any case, it is a tad presumptuous to say that a potential solution isn't nearly good enough. Some friends do reach a certain level of familiarity though, and maybe she feels comfortable enough with you and your home to request another standard. Why are they coming to stay with you? Did you invite them to stay to visit with you, or are they coming to your area for another reason? What 41-yo goes to bed at 8 p.m.? Sounds like something my great-grandmother would have done. Okay, I get it. People who have to get up early for work. Since the guest will be on her vacation, asking for op to be quiet is a bit extra to me. I would just wear earplugs. She could wear earplugs, turn on a fan for white noise, or stay at a hotel and just visit during the day. Unless you have vacation time from your job, you still have to work. Not the asshole. Tell her she would be happier at a hotel. She can complain to reception about the guest breathing too loud 2 rooms down. She was going to be a guest in your home, but she is dictating how you live your life while you host her. No. Agree your house is too chaotic for her. She needs somewhere quiet, a hotel, Airbnb, nunnery. Let her choose. Am I the asshole for refusing to go on vacation with a newborn? Me and my girlfriend, 28 male, 27 female, have taken a vacation with her older sister and boyfriend each year the last 4 or 5 years. We either go on a ski trip, hit a national park we haven't seen, or just go hiking, camping in the Rockies. We are able to make this trip really affordable, only spending money on things that matter to us, and we have a very similar taste in what we enjoy to do. I cherish this yearly trip and the memories we've made. A week or so ago her sister told us she was pregnant and told the rest of the family on Thanksgiving. We were all super excited to have a new family member next year. After we ate and were chatting, my girlfriend mentioned we booked a trip to Costa Rica in February. This led into talking about our yearly trip. I had gotten sucked into another conversation with family members, and when I sat back down with my girlfriend and her sister they say, "Would you rather go to Colorado in September or go in January to ski?" and proceed to show me much more expensive accommodations, rental car, flights etc. to travel with a baby. The baby is due in July, so I quickly started crunching numbers in my head that would make the little feller 5 months old. I suggested we look into going somewhere much closer, maybe a state park or somewhere in the Smokies. We have a small camper. Just take a 3-day weekend trip to test the waters of vacationing with a baby. I was immediately given the "I am going to be strong mom" speech, and having a baby isn't going to stop me from doing things. I didn't want to ruffle too many feathers at Thanksgiving, so I just ate my feelings of being disrespected and her being selfish. I felt the only input they really wanted from me was my debit card, and nicely said, "I'm not going to book anything today." Once we got home my girlfriend almost immediately mentioned the trip. We had a discussion about how I do not want to fly halfway across the country with a newborn, pay way more for the trip, be able to do way less, enjoy it less, use my vacation time, just be super stressed, and how her sister, boyfriend couldn't afford this trip without us covering half. Plus the selfishness, irresponsibility, emo, of even putting the stress, risk on a newborn of flying, the cold, elevation sickness, hiking with a baby while elk are in rut. Most dangerous time of year. Driving on dangerous mountain roads, etc. for us to take turns sitting in the lodge, Airbnb, so her sister doesn't miss out on Aspen ski pics this year. She agreed with all my points and says if we were in her sister's shoes we wouldn't be planning this trip. She is much more empathetic about her FOMO and thinks we should still go because it's a family trip with the baby. I again brought up going somewhere closer and more affordable for a shorter time. This trip is just a lot, both financially and mental stress. I've been getting the cold shoulder a couple days now, starting to wonder, is this a family obligation trip or to feed her sister's ego? Am I the asshole for refusing to go on or pay for this trip? Not the asshole. Regardless of the reason, there's no justification for anyone railroading you into spending your money for any purpose, nor pressuring you to use your vacation time in any particular way. Aside from that, mom-to-be is entirely talking out of her ass about what her future experience of motherhood is going to be. She may have an ideal pregnancy, childbirth, newborn experience. She may have the easiest baby ever. And she may well not. The fact is, she has no clue right now how all sorts of things are going to shake out or what she's going to be capable of doing in the first few months after having a baby. Asking you to pay more while getting less on top of the complete lack of predictability is absurd and incredibly selfish. Your GF's sister and her boyfriend are being assholes. Bawahahaha. I'm crying laughing over here. Oh, the plans we make as pregnant women. So many plans, so many ideas and visions of a future that is so bright and cheery. Then the baby won't sleep, won't eat, won't fart. What the fuck can't you fart? And all those dreams go out the window and you're in survival mode. Not the asshole. Why would you need to pay more in flights? Babies fly for free, and you wouldn't be paying half of their flights anyway? Anyway, not the asshole. The dynamics of traveling with a young child is completely different to how you've been operating. Let your girlfriend go on her own if she thinks it's no big deal. Not the asshole. This is laughable and insane to do that to a baby. She hasn't experienced pregnancy, so she has no idea how hard that can be. Pregnancy can be a breeze or hell on wheels. Birth and postpartum, especially with a newborn, is rough already. And she wants to drag around a small baby to show she is checks notes a strong mom? So she'll be a negligent mom? That's just foolish. And personally, you wanting to stay in budget is smart. Frankly, I imagine that they will realize it's not the best idea to travel like that, and y'all will be out a ton of money for nothing. Or stuck with a miserable baby who isn't yet sleeping through the night. Not the asshole. Your sister is delusional. Newborn babies are so demanding. Whenever I had a newborn, all I wanted to do was nap in any free time. Not ski. I'm just wondering, does your sister actually know what having a newborn entails? Has she read books, attended classes, or talked to people who recently had a baby? Not the asshole. You have made a range of reasonable points to your girlfriend and she agrees with them. The phrase, family trip, doesn't alter them or make money appear magically so that you can afford to go. Am I the asshole for asking my neighbor to move newly planted fir trees off my property? A few months ago my neighbor approached us and said he wanted to plant a row of fir trees between our yards. We expressed some concern, specifically in the area closer to our house where it's dark, we have trouble growing grass, and we wanted to plant something smaller in our bed there. These trees will grow quite large and wide, and they are not what we want for our yard. But our neighbor said they would be planted on his property, and we said whatever, it's his property, he wasn't asking for money, so fine. We were working from home when the landscapers were planting the trees. We went out to look at the progress, and noticed that the holes were large, but it was hard to tell where the trees would end up, and we did not protest. However, once they were fully planted, we noticed that several of the trees appeared to encroach on our property, specifically several in the areas we had concerns about. We notified our neighbor about our concerns right away. He was open to moving some of the trees and wanted to know which ones, and to where. Since we didn't know exactly where the property line was, we said we wanted to get a survey to be better informed. He asked that we do this as soon as possible because it was late autumn, and he wanted to be able to move the trees before it got too cold. We called a surveyor immediately, but due to their schedule, it was a month before we had the final survey report, which cost us over $3,000. When we got it, the survey showed that out of 12 new trees, 6 were on our property, the tree trunks are solidly on our land, and 4 are right on the line, and 1 is very close with branches substantially growing onto our property. Only 1 is fully on his land. We sent him the plot plan, and asked him to remove all 11 trees planted on, or growing onto our property. Understandably he is upset by our request, and the timing of it. Why didn't we tell him sooner? He will have to pay twice, we are terrible people, he's going to put up a fence etc. So, am the asshole for asking him to move his trees fully to his side of property line, especially in the cases where the trunks might be right on the line. We are considering offering to pay for half of the removal costs, but really don't want the trees in our land. Edited, fixed typos, and appreciate the great advice. Not the asshole. He should have surveyed before he planted. By the way, fir trees. Not the asshole. Your neighbor has absolutely no right to intrude on your property. And replanting of the trees illegally planted is his problem. You should not even think about paying 1 cent. And they should be far enough away from the property line such that the trunks do not breach the property line over the years as the trees mature. You're going to have an ongoing problem with branches and leaves in future years. Not the asshole, and I'd consider a fence. For sure I'd find out what your rights are concerning trees encroaching on your property. If anything, he should pay for half the survey. He should have done that before starting the project. Not the asshole. He has planted trees on your property. He could have done the survey, but chose not to. If he doesn't want to pay to move them, you can do that easily now with a saw. They won't have much roots left, it will be easy to move them. Not the asshole. Neighbor did expensive landscaping without knowing where his property line is and got 11 out of 12 not on his side of the line. He's an idiot, and unfortunately, being an idiot can be expensive. Am I the asshole for not saving the house so my brother can buy it? There is a lot to this situation, but I'll try to keep it brief. Please ask info if needed. My 25 female mom, grandma and great-grandpa all live on the same property. Mom and grandma share a house. My great-grandpa had his own next door. He sadly passed about 2 years ago and the house went to my grandma. Even before my great-grandpa dies, we talked that I would one day buy the house and half the property off my grandma. We initially expected that would be when I'm around 30, but you can't really predict the teeth of a loved one that persistently. I had recently moved to a different city to be with my boyfriend, but he also agreed that we would move back once we are ready to settle down. While my grandma was grieving and contemplating if she wants to sell, my mom suggested my little brother, Luke, 19, and his girlfriend, Emma, 20, move in temporarily, so they can have some privacy, and in turn, keep up with chores so the house stays in good condition. No renovations or anything involving money. This year, my grandma said that she wants to sell the house next year, as she needs money for her own renovation. Yesterday, I visited my family and grandma, mom, and I set a date to discuss how we will proceed, cost, responsibility, etc. Which is when my brother interrupted, saying he should be there as well, as he also has an interest in the house. It was the first I heard of it, but apparently, my mom knew this, because she said our main concern should be keeping the house in the family and that him and I can discuss at a later time who will live in it and buy my granda out. I told them I intended to let Luke and Emma live there for free the next years, as I still want to focus on my career for before settling down, but I would not invest in something I don't intend to make my own one day. Property is expensive, and my boyfriend and I want to start investing now, before there are major financial responsibilities, children, involved. My brother argued that him and Emma lived there for some time now and it's unfair to expect them to just leave once I decide I want to move back, but I told him the alternative. Which is either he pay the whole sum. He is a student and doesn't have any part-time job next year, or our grandma will sell it to some stranger. My brother and mum both called me an asshole for being selfish, saying I would get the money back if he wanted to buy it from me, but for me, it's also about the cuts in my lifestyle. It would mean tightening our budget to pay off the loan, and effectively losing money due to inflation. But it is true that I would be the only one able to pay my grandma, so the house isn't sold to strangers. I don't want it to not stay in the family either, but I feel like they are putting an unfair expectation on me and guilt trip me by calling me an AH. But maybe I'm in the wrong, so I'd like some outside opinion. Not the asshole. Let me rephrase their actual demand of you to the bare truth. You have to buy this house for us to live in however long we want, with no obligation to you except a vague statement about buying from you eventually. Because family. See how crazy that is? Absolutely not, unless you are independently wealthy and have no issues with supporting your brother indefinitely. Given his response to your saying that you will want the house eventually if you are the one buying it, essentially, how dare you ask us to ever move out of our house before we want to? I suspect you'll never get him out. Let the family do it in the process of selling it, or you'll forever be the one labeled, evicted their own brother. Not the asshole. Your brother wants you to subsidize his life. Your family's desires should be used to put you in a crippling financial position. Don't let your mom and brother use emotions to manipulate you. And don't come to a verbal agreement. Being screwed on this can impact you for decades. If you're in the US, your boyfriend may be unprotected unless he's part of a contract or you're married, so asking him to financially contribute is also an issue. This isn't some game, and your mom has shown she is willing to play games to get you to do what she wants. You cannot trust them to care about your financial interests when you're ready to sort it out. Not the asshole. I am always amused when people protecting their best interest are accused of being selfish by the actually selfish people who are trying to take advantage of them. Live rent-free is a huge favor. No one should be entitled to it on the back of someone who can't afford it. Your offer is very reasonable and generous. You are in a catch-22. No matter what you do, your mom and brother will be disappointed, so sit down with your boyfriend and figure out what is best for you and whether purchasing this house is the best decision for you. In Ta, It seems like they are asking you to buy him the house. Not the asshole. GMA needs money to renovate her house is the issue. Figure out how to do that without selling the house and the rest of the strife will evaporate. Not the asshole. You'll get the money back later. Later as in when hell freezes over. You're right to be uncomfortable. Don't sacrifice your future.